All right, hey, how's it going, you guys? I hope you guys are doing well. Today we'll be checking out Fire Loadout, probably for the final time for a while, I would imagine. Um, just because I did one pretty recently, and then the changes came out to the loadouts, so I want to get one more out for you guys, just in case you guys are wondering my thoughts. And I'm going about the double loadout thing nowadays because it's still pretty new and pretty fresh to everyone. So let's get into it. Artifacts right now, we got Strategist card, Transformation card, Omega, Solar Amp, and Candle and Neuron. Solar Amp's a pretty unique one nowadays. Not a whole lot use it. I think pretty much people only use it with fire for the most part to get the burn proc, but burn doesn't even stack, so if you have it at 120, it should work fine. You really want that explosion that deals AoE damage for this. And I'll go into detail why later. Might right now is 603. Traits, this is my skill point allocation. Allies, right now I'm rocking Superman for AoE. You could use whoever you like. I just like Superman, Batman, and Starfire. Starfire for when you use the weapon buff, you get an extra buff to might. All right, so let's get into it. So something I found that kind of makes the loadout flow really well is channeling abilities. Switching between the trays, the different loadouts, while using channeling abilities. So our channel ability for the first tray is Amplified Heat Vision. And then for the second one would be Omega Beams, because we will emit our 10 requirement to get the maximum damage that we can out of Omega Beams. All right, so for the most part, you're going to be going from left to right. Left to right, switch. Left to right, switch. But for right now, we have Meteor Strike, Fiery Weapon. We're going to clip these two together. So right when you click Meteor Strike, go right into Fiery Weapon. Soul Signature, that's from our Candle and Neuron artifact. And then something new, Radiant Nova, this is from the White Lantern artifact. So I just maxed it out earlier today to get this. And I tried it out in the raid, and it works out really, really well. It has a pretty good area of effect. You don't have to get super close to people, but it works out well. If you don't have Radiant Nova, I recommend using Spontaneous Combustion. That also seems to flow pretty well with this loadout. Then we have Wildfire, Amplified Heat Vision. Reason it's amplified is because of Solar Amp. Then we have Magma Vortex. I know this is an iconic ability that not a whole lot of people have, so I would sub in maybe Inferno, just so you can keep the burn proc going, because this burns and crushes people. This burns. You always want to keep the burn going just so you can get the most amount of damage you can out of Wildfire, out of Overheat. It helps with Amplified Heat Vision, that sort of thing. And then we also have Overheat and Scintillating Blast, another White Lantern ability. I think this is the first one you get, so if you have White Lantern Ring and you haven't leveled it up yet, you should still have this. If not, Fireball. Trident, or Flame Cascade, excuse me. Tried and true method. And then finally we'll end with Omega Beams. My Omega Beams aren't maxed out yet, as you saw earlier when we checked out my artifacts. You still get pretty good damage, and you don't have to worry too much about the 10 meters as opposed to the 2 meters that is in the last part of that description there, because the Magma Vortex kind of brings everyone in, and you're still able to hit most targets. All right, let's get into it. All right. So you can see that's pretty much the rotation. It's not too complicated. The main thing is that when you're using that channel ability, just like I was talking about earlier, when it's like this and you're doing nothing, that's when you switch down. kind of makes it flow a little bit better, a little bit easier. I'm sure there's already people out there that are pretty talented and made it pretty easy switching between loadouts. I feel like that kind of helps with the flow of the build. Works out pretty well, I'd like to think. All right, so let's get into single target. Single target, pretty unchanged from the last fire build. You really do not need 2 loadout trees. So what I have in my second loadout, well, here, I won't spoil it. You guys probably already saw. So artifacts are roughly the same. Only difference is that I have E-bonds instead of solar amp. You really don't need solar amp from this. It's pretty unnecessary. Allies are also relatively unchanged. The only difference is crypto. He has really, really good single target. Last I checked, it's the best, but I could be wrong. Might be outdated. I did take a pretty long break for a while. As for the loadout, pretty simple. Heat vision, luminous beam. Luminous beam also comes from the White Lantern abilities. No way. If you don't have luminous beam, I'd use freezing breath. I feel like that's usually a pretty good alternative. I usually get really good damage with that before I got the White Lantern ability. But luminous beam just hits really hard, and you're going to see it. The crits get pretty crazy. Absorb heat, omega beams, soul signature, and fiery weapon. So this is one of the loadouts that doesn't go directly left to right for the most part. What you're going to want to do is after you use luminous beam, use soul signature and fiery weapon. It helps with the cooldowns a little bit. Flows better. I know I've been using that phrase quite a bit, but you always want to be using an ability when you're in combat, when you're in a raid. You always want to be dealing damage. You don't want to wait for one of your abilities to come off cooldown. So doing it that way kind of makes it so you're not waiting for your next ability. And then down here, I have Radiant Nova and Life Shield. You can put whatever you want down here. I have all the supercharges that I like. Again, second tray, not really necessary for single target. This single target build isn't too changed from my last fire build. So let's just test it out and see what kind of damage you put out. Nah. I think you guys get the idea there. As you can see, with both the AoE and the single target loadout, the damage has been pretty amped up compared to the last fire video. Yeah, I've been getting some pretty good numbers there, as you can see, getting into the, what is that, the 4 millions, 5 millions. Not bad for single target damage, and a pretty big difference from the normal build from last video. The main change, like I said earlier, is this luminous beam. If you don't have it, freeze breath. AoE, I gave you some alternatives there. But yeah, that's pretty much it, you guys. I was thinking about probably doing an Earth DPS video next. I'm going to mess around with that for a little while, see what I could do. Definitely going to be taking a break from fire for a little bit, though. 2 videos in a row on it is a bit much. All right, you guys take care. I'll see you around.